A high school girl was walking down a dark, empty alleyway when suddenly, she was pulled into a shady van which sped away with her. The kidnappers thought they had an easy victim who could be used and thrown without much effort. They went on to rip off her clothes in the back of the van. Seeing all this, the driver of the van, Nomoto, got terrified. The man didn't know they were planning on committing a crime. He was just asked to go out and pick up girls. His friends threatened him, saying he shouldn't be a coward, because he was equally as guilty as them. They ordered him to drive to the destination, where they planned to dump the innocent girl after they were done with her. They would give him a chance to play around with her too. He suddenly stopped the van in the middle of the road, not being able to bear the guilt of such a heinous act. He was shocked to see Hitomi open the curtain to tell him to keep going, that too, to a new destination. What had happened to his friends? They're all dead. He should keep driving if he didn't want to die as well. He quickly drove to the destination, puking his guts out on reaching. Hitomi threatened him not to run away while she talked on call. He took a look around to see where they were. To his utter horror, the surroundings were filled with rotting bodies of people, in the middle of what looked like a garbage dump. He started running for his life when he came upon an empty space in the middle of the dump. Why was this space cleared up like this? A strange man came up beside his and explained that it was a ring, where unwanted things like garbage of huge size and dead bodies were kept. Nomoto ran up to him, begging for help. He couldn't understand how this high school girl had made his friends end up in pieces. The strange man explained that she was actually a therianthrope, chosen human subjects that were genetically altered to gain animal-like capabilities, activating the power of the wild. She was one of them. Nomoto couldn't believe this stupid nonsense. Mad that such a puny and pathetic human could think the concept to be stupid, the strange man transformed into a huge lion-like beast. He was Brute Leo, the strongest brute of killing bites. Nomoto was frightened out of his wits. In his spell of anger, Leo was going to kill Nomoto when he was saved by Hitomi. She challenged Leo to a fight, placing a bet of 10 million yen if she won, even though her chances of winning against Leo was 1 to 100 as it was her first match. While Brute Leo had fought hundreds, he couldn't believe that Nomoto was capable of paying 10 million, so she placed his body as collateral. His organs were pretty valuable since he was young and they would bring in tons of money. If she won, he would live. She turned into a beast with fangs too. Hitomi started provoking Leo. Was she that confident that she could win? As soon as she said that she was definitely going to win, Leo lost control and started attacking furiously. He never held back even if his opponent was a tiny rabbit. Even though Hitomi was getting thrashed around by Leo, it didn't seem to have much of an effect on her. While fighting, he suddenly grabbed a hold of her head. Nomoto thought she was definitely going to get killed. He ran to call for help. He had failed to see that she defended herself really well. Leo got extremely angry at this point and went on to completely shower her with a myriad of punches. Nomoto couldn't escape because of Leo's screaming. He said that Hitomi was foolish to challenge the king. Suddenly, he saw 3 of his fingers chopped off. He couldn't believe it. With a smirk, she spit out 3 of his fingers and said, "She's never experienced fear in her life." He was shocked because all animals must experience fear. Who was she? He told her to reveal herself. She revealed that she was Brute Rattel. Rattels are known to be the most fearless animals because of their ability to stand up to animals much bigger than themselves. These creatures are the world's strongest small mammal. She proceeded to stick out her tongue at him and call him a dumbass. He was furious. As he was going to attack her, she slashed through him. Hitomi had won the fight and the driver was shocked. From outer space, the officials of Killing Bites were watching this fight and were shocked with the results, even when the odds were 1 to 99. Shido said Brute Rattel was his best creation, and she had proved her powers with this fight. The next morning, Nomoto woke up in his apartment, thinking it was all just a bad dream, but then putting his hand on the floor, he felt the familiar softness of Hitomi's. It hadn't been a dream after all. Then he remembered. He had been so happy to be saved by her. He hugged her and started crying. He was even worried that she was hurt. She then transformed back into her human form and forced him to take her to his apartment. She could not go to regular hospitals. They just fell asleep after he treated her wounds. Before leaving the next morning, she forced him to take her out to eat pancakes. She looked quite cute while eating, just like a normal girl. Suddenly she stood up and apologized. Shido came up from behind. She was almost unrecognizable in front of Shido. Raishi Shido was the Director General of Killing Bites, and he was Hitomi's guardian. Even before Nomoto could introduce himself, Shido knew everything about him. He was Nomoto Yuya, a second-year student from Komagawa University, majoring in economics, to stating his complete present address. Shido asked Nomoto how he liked Killing Bites. He had the best seat to watch the match after all. Nomoto asked Shido about why there is a need for therianthropes to be created. Shido explained if Nomoto was familiar with Zaibutsu, the oldest group of merchants with 400 years of history. They were supposedly dismantled after the war, but the Japanese economy was still being controlled by 4 Zaibutsus. A secret war keeps going on among the 4 Zaibutsus with each of their representations on the line. That's why Killing Bites takes place. In each generation, the strongest have killed each other. Now, all the Killing Bites fighters have become therianthropes. It was Shido's bureau's job to make sure that Killing Bites runs smoothly. Even for this fight, they had arranged Nomoto's friends' deaths to look like an accident. Nomoto suddenly remembered his friend's actions and apologized, saying he had no idea they were rapists. He was just called to drive the car. Hitomi got extremely angry. She had definitely seen him jacking off in the driver's seat. Shido believed Nomoto and assigned Hitomi to be Nomoto's bodyguard. She retaliated because she didn't want to protect this loser, but he was Brute Rattel's sole investor. She would be prohibited from participating in Killing Bites if something happened to him. Shido requested her to help him out. Blushing hard, she agreed. Shido gave Nomoto a suitcase full of cash. He told Nomoto to invest in the next fight using this money. It was part of the profits gained from their last win. Shido's assistant found it unexpected that he gave the money to Nomoto to manage. He was just a college student. Shido thought it was necessary. Maybe a young person like Nomoto might have something that was missing in Hitomi. Back in his apartment, Nomoto couldn't stop counting the money again and again. It really was a whopping 100 million yen. He said he couldn't go to class with such a huge load of money. Hitomi took a temporary leave from high school. Her uniform had been shredded because of Nomoto's friends. She instructed him to go out and buy a list of things for her. He tried to deny but ran out on being threatened. On his way back, he was wondering what he had gotten himself into. The only upside to the situation was that he got to live with a high school girl. On the road, suddenly a hot woman approached him, took off her coat, and asked Nomoto to get a good look at them. He was speechless. While he was distracted by the sight, his leg was pierced with a spike coming out of her hands. She threatened Nomoto to tell her everything about Rattel. Right at that moment, Hitomi appears. She was guarding Nomoto after all. She had known she could bait someone using Nomoto, but she didn't know it would be this easy. This new opponent, Brute Rowdy, transformed into Porcupine Therianthrope. Her plan was to kill Rattel's financier so that Hitomi would not be able to participate in Killing Bites, but now she was going to kill Rattel directly instead. But in Killing Bites, the one with larger fangs always wins, Hitomi said. The audacity of Hitomi to talk like she knew everything. She was just a rookie. Rowdy rushed at Hitomi for the attack, pushing Hitomi backwards. Then she attacked from a surprising position, throwing quills on the woods, making Hitomi unmovable. She finished off the fight with her final move, Rowdy Storm. Hitomi was not visible among the sea of quills. Nomoto and Rowdy thought she had lost. Rowdy was just about to kill Nomoto when Hitomi emerged from her nap under the quills, mentioning it to be quite therapeutic. Rowdy was shocked. Her quills could pierce even metal. A Rattel's hide, however, is a natural armor, being thick and flexible. There are no weapons in nature that could pierce through its tough defense. Smirking at Rowdy's shock, Hitomi used her signature slash attack to finish off Rowdy in one blow. Nomoto's conscience kicks in again. She shouldn't just murder someone in a public place. Right then, Rowdy surprisingly got up, swearing to take down Nomoto along with her. She was completely pushed off the frame by Okajima Ichinosuke, who was a brute for the Ishida Zaibatsu. The man approached her and asked how a cute girl like her could defeat Brute Leo. Rattel was expecting another fight. Instead, he begged Rattel to lend her services to him and his faction. He went back to Nomoto's apartment with them and helped him apply medicine on his wounds. He again requested Rattel to join the Ishida Zaibatsu. They would make sure to protect both Hitomi and Nomoto. She blatantly refused. She didn't need to join such crappy groups because she was the strongest. Nomoto realized now that Hitomi was quite stuck up. He awkwardly put across that the more people to protect him, the better it would be. Hitomi took this as a doubt of her abilities, but Killing Bites isn't something that could be survived with mere skill. Hitomi is furious and wants to teach Okajima a lesson outside. Nomoto receives a text from Shido. Hitomi excitedly looked at her phone and, on Shido command, agreed to join Ishida as a temporary hire. Okajima was over the moon and thanked Hitomi, mistakenly believing that it's the look from Nomoto that convinced her. Then Hitomi returns back to normal by threatening the injured Nomoto to cook for her. Nomoto is tortured in his own apartment with Okajima's snoring and punches from Hitomi in her sleep, but he seems to admire Hitomi's looks while she's sleeping. From the next day, she accompanied him to his university. A geek nerd asked Nomoto how his night went when he went to pick up some girls, comforting him that it's not possible for guys like us to get girls this easily. To his utter shock, a cute girl was sitting next to Nomoto. He'd always believed that high school girls existed solely in the realms of imagination, only to find one casually seated before him. It was like discovering a rare Pokemon in the wild. The geek nerd asked Nomoto if he knows her. "I am living in his apartment," Hitomi replied. The man's soul left his body. All this drama was so lame to Hitomi, she decided to pay attention to the economics class. The professor was old, and speaking in such a monotonous voice, Hitomi could barely hear or understand anything. Looking around, she noticed no one taking notes or even reading the textbook. Everyone was doing whatever they wanted. Was this really what actual classes were like? She felt suffocated in there. It was too different from all that she had gone through. Suddenly, she saw a girl peeping from the door. The girl introduced herself as Iruza Nakanishi, a brute for the Yatsubishi Zaibatsu. She provoked Hitomi and stole her and ran away with them. Hitomi chased Iruza into a forest. Suddenly, Iruza turned and pushed Hitomi down. She was Brute Cheetah. No one can catch the cheetah, which was a beast evolved to be the fastest in the world. Iruza acknowledges that Hitomi has average speed, power, and defense, but her hide covers only her back. Cutting through the front should be like butter. Hitomi stopped this attack with a bite instead of dodging. Could Hitomi really be stronger than Leo? Iruza finds this very attractive. Before their fight could proceed, they are interrupted by Brute Bear from the Mitsukado Zaibatsu. Seems like every brute wants a fight with the Rattel. Brute Bear informs Iruza that Rattel is now a part of the Ishida Zaibatsu, so that she can enter Killing Bite's Destroyal. The Destroyal was just a week away, and until then the brutes were not allowed to engage in mortal fights. This had been decided by the Zaibatsu Pact. Even Iruza's brother had agreed to this pact, but Hitomi couldn't be convinced. From behind, 2 assassins were watching Hitomi. They had been ordered to kill her. In fact, all the Zaibatsus were targeting her. The Killing Bite's Destroyal was going to be a contest for the Rattel. Hitomi and Iruza joined the manga research club that Nomoto was a part of. Others were jealous, saying that he has his own harem. Iruza was following around Hitomi all day so that she didn't engage in any fights. Her brother would get into trouble if that happened. The 2 girls were arguing. The club members mistook their argument to be one over Nomoto. Could it be a threesome? They felt like Nomoto was making fun of them by flaunting the girls. They asked him to make the girls wear animal outfits. Iruza agreed. She wanted to show Hitomi there were other skills to learn in the world, like partial transformation into the brute to conserve energy. Iruza would teach her only if she got changed into the animal outfit. The man got flashed again. He couldn't take it and ran out. An entire crowd was waiting outside. The 2 girls came out in maid outfits and animal ears. The girls were being asked to pose and all the guys around were loving it. Rattels are not only fierce but also have a strong sense of curiosity. Hitomi was kind of loving the attention. Nomoto had never seen her make that face before. Hitomi went off with Iruza while Nomoto returned home. As soon as he opened the door, he saw Brute Leo standing inside. He was waiting for Rattel along with Ms. Yoko, the granddaughter of Mitsukado Zaibatsu's president Yozan. She requested Nomoto to withdraw from the Destroyal, explaining that Destroyal matches are not 1-to-1 anymore. Multiple brutes would enter in this battle royale and loss certainly meant death in such battles. Shido was behind this sudden change. He was using Killing Bites as a test site for his own research. Nomoto wasn't sure what he could do about this. Even if he talked to Hitomi, she wouldn't agree. Ms. Yoko explains that Destroyal was like a real-life chess game where the brutes are used as pieces. The players who move the pieces are the financiers, like Nomoto. His decisions will determine whether Rattel lives or dies. Was he prepared to enter such a battle where Hitomi's life was on the line? Meanwhile, Iruza was convincing Hitomi to change her financier. She was a really good chess piece indeed, but that didn't matter if the player behind the piece was useless. Hitomi was fine with him. Her plan was to let him stay as a pawn so that she would be able to make decisions by herself. Nomoto would be willing to enter Destroyal if Hitomi said so. If he takes this decision without her, then Hitomi would probably kill him. Hearing this, Ms. Yoko left. She wasn't expecting a dumber response. He has Shido's support, but the man is definitely a fool, she said. Now, her only option was to destroy Rattel directly in Destroyal. In front of Ms. Yoko was a gentleman sporting a white beard and a face filled with deep wrinkles. President Yoza. He said Shido is trying to make Killing Bites his own, and he'll let him. He would use this Destroyal as a means to test Shido's worth, but Rattel's opponent should be well thought out. She had defeated Leo after all. Leo said her opponent should be Kido, a mysterious brute no one knows about. The old man's sinister smile conveyed that this Destroyal would definitely prove to be more bloody. On returning home, Hitomi ordered Nomoto to join Destroyal. He was doubtful about his ability to make the right choices for her. The Destroyal required a team of 3. They needed to recruit 1 more brute. Okajima was on the mission to find their 3rd teammate. Ishida Zaibatsu didn't have the assets to recruit elite talent. Also, the other Zaibatsus were interfering in their choice of the 3rd teammate. The entry for the destroyal was the next day. They had only one option left. This therianthrope did not belong to any Zaibatsu and disliked fighting in general. It was Ui Inaba, Brute a rabbit. She was not powerful and had lost all her Killing Bites matches. Okajima convinced her that they needed her and begged her to join. They would either win and gain recognition, or they would all die. Hearing of death, Inaba didn't want to join. Hitomi tried convincing her by threatening her. She would make Inaba a useful bait. This freaked her out even more and she ran away. Nomoto was given the task to convince her, once again being threatened to be killed by Hitomi. Nomoto tries to convince her with small talk. He asks her why she became a therianthrope. She was a failure in everything, until she was told she was compatible to be a brute. But what use was a rabbit in fights? All she could do was run away. Nomoto tells her even the weak have something valuable to contribute, giving an example that he is also useless and have no redeemable qualities, but he is going to enter as a player. Suddenly, they were attacked with shots of blood. When rabbits are attacked, they run into burrows they have dug to escape danger, but it was useless to start digging a burrow while the attack was happening. Inaba saw blood on her hands and got scared, realizing that it wasn't hurting. The blood attacker was Brute Horned Lizard. She had stopped all other brutes from joining Ishida. Just Inaba was left. Horned lizards, when faced with enemies, shoot blood from their eyes to drive away. Brute Horned Lizard could catch up to Inaba despite her fast speed. Just when Inaba was about to get attacked, Rattel came to the rescue. Rattel was dodging the Stang blood attacks. According to Horned Lizard, the versatile attacks of mammals were no match to reptiles. Inaba wanted to come of use. She used her ears like radars, pinpointing the origin of sounds individually. She identified that there was someone right behind Horned Lizard. Thanks to Inaba, Rattel could attack accurately. Turned out there were two brute lizards. Rattel didn't kill them, she just injured one of the lizard sisters. Rattel threatened them by saying she would report them to Shido and tell everyone this was done by Inaba so that they could enter Destroyal. This was a first win for Inaba, so she got happy and agreed to join Destroyal. The first match of Destroyal was going to start that evening. All of them were at a luxurious elite place. People were going to start killing each other in there, and yet everyone looked like they were having fun. The insecure Inaba was not feeling confident. As always, Leo came up to them and wished them good luck. Hitomi made fun of him, pretending not to know who he was. Leo was not participating this time due to his unhealed hand injury. Taiga, Brute Tiger, came up to talk to Leo. He had been the previous winner of Killing Bites. He was the renowned brother of Aruza. He wanted a rematch with Leo. He thought Destroyal without Leo was going to be like child's play. Aruza was unsure about their third teammate, but Taiga was sure, in absence of Leo, he could defeat everyone by himself. Mai Shinozaki, the operation planner of Killing Bites, was going to be the master of ceremonies for the Destroyal. First, Director General Shido was going to explain the basic rules of the tournament. Destroyal was an event in which 4 3-man teams representing each of the 4 Zaibatsus fight to death in a survival match. The place in which the fight would take place is a deserted island in the Philippine Sea. All of them were currently on their way to the island on the biggest cruise ship of the country. The island is divided into 100-meter squares, and a brute is placed in each quadrant as pieces. The players will move the pieces. When 2 brutes of opposing Zaibatsus come into the same square, then battle will start. When they are in the same square, it doesn't matter if the match is 2-on-1 or 3-on-1. The only way victory is declared would be if all of the other team's brutes are either dead or crippled. So the last one standing will be the winner of Destroyal. Okajima suddenly realized that Inaba is missing. Her anxiety was giving her a stomachache, so she went to the bathroom. In there, she was about to get attacked by a horny brute. The idea of Killing Bites made him horny every time. He stopped when his teammates came there. They were brutes of Sumitomo Zaibatsu. They couldn't believe Inaba was the one that had defeated the lizard. They had a feeling it was Hitomi. Inaba ran to Hitomi, glad to be saved. The Sumitomo brutes couldn't wait to have a fight with Hitomi. Leo was giving instructions to the brutes of his Zaibatsu. Sumitomo brutes should be watched out for. They are very unpredictable. According to him, Rattel can be left alone. She would cause her own destruction. The cruise reached Hote Island. Participating brutes were about to disembark. Players took their designated seats in the cruise. Yoko was sitting beside Nomoto. Nomoto was nervous when he noticed Yoko glaring at him. Meanwhile, the bank managing director of President Ishida was begging Okajima to secure victory for their Zaibatsu. There was no guarantee that they would win, but Hitomi still had confidence that the one with sharper fangs always wins in Killing Bites. Let the Destroyal begin.